All right, I'm going to talk about something that some of you people know about and some of you may not, and it's sun soil, and it is a CBD product. So let me explain it to you. These days, it seems like people are putting CBD in everything, literally in everything. It could be their green protein shake in the morning. You can put it on meat. You can put it on your friend. There's a lot of noise about it, but there's one company from Vermont. That's right, Vermont, that's worth the hype, and it's sun soil. Now, sun soil makes tons of products. A lot of people I know use them, and they love them. It is a USDA organic product. It is certified CBD, and it's made from hemp plants. So how the hemp is grown really matters, and sometimes it's not grown well. This is not done by non-experts. This isn't regular civilians. These are people that have farms. Sun Soil farms their hemp in Vermont, and they never use pesticides, herbicides, or GMOs. Simple ingredients, really simple. I try to be mindful about what I'm putting in my body, and I'm talking about, things I ingest, not what I'm putting, That's why Sun Soil is great, and I love it for people that love it, and it's made from simple ingredients that I can pronounce. Many of their products contain coconut oil and hemp. That's it. Do you understand? It's really simple, and it's organic, and it's got fair prices because Sun Soil farms their hemp and makes their CBD oil in-house. Their prices are less than half the price of other brands, so you get organic CBD at an unbeatable price. Transparency? That's me. I'm all about seeing through what I'm saying. Sun Soil clearly labels the amount of CBD that's in each serving. Sun Soil also tests every batch of product at these independent labs and publishes the results on their website. You can read it, and it's real. Sometimes you read stuff because someone just said it. This is actually research, and they publish it on their website. And they give back. Sun Soil donates a percentage of sales via 1% for the planet to environmental and community causes. So Sun Soil makes CBD oil with simple organic ingredients. You get 30% off your first order by going to sunsoil.com/Bob. That's sunsoil.com/Bob, sunsoil.com/Bob for 30% off your first order, sunsoil.com/Bob. You won't be sorry unless you've done something else. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a new episode. I love new episodes. I love old episodes. You know what? There's no time. This show is like a fine wine. You just drink my show. Drink my show and you'll feel better and then have a headache. So this is Bob Saget's Here For You. We got a little new branding. I'm sure you noticed the black and white photo. Wanted to make it more real, a little less I made up. And I lost a couple pounds in my cheeks because I was storing nuts in the winter. And I'm excited you're listening. We have Phil Rosenthal today. He is a friend. He has his new show. His old show, well, it's his fourth season of Somebody Feed Phil, just came out on Netflix with 5 new episodes that are amazing. I really enjoyed them. They're hilarious, and they kind of bring people together through food. And he goes to Singapore and the Mississippi Delta and San Francisco, and I can't recommend it more highly. I watched it last night, in fact, and I'll be telling him that and glowing all over him as we salivate on our guests that are our friends. Anyway, this is about to start, and you do what you do. You can subscribe and listen, and that's free. When I first started this podcast, Bill Burr was one of my first guests, and Bill said, "Bob, they're all free." I said, "Yeah, but mine's free." He says, "Bob, you got to get sponsors, and then you got to be on for years, and then they're all free, Bob." And then he berated me, so that's worth listening to. And then you could also follow and listen depending on where you get, your podcasts. And then there's a number up there. Once in a while, I'm going to call you guys. I'm going to be calling you less frequently because for a while, we're going to be doing just Monday shows because there's a lot going on. And also for you guys, there's so much to listen to. I want to make every episode incredibly special for you. And I often do shows on Thursdays as well, but I'm going to take a little break from that, do shows on Mondays, make them a little more concentrated with just what I think would be conversation that you don't have to download everything. There's so many great podcasts to listen to, and I want mine to be one of them for you. So to give you too much product is it's like in your hair. You just don't want too much product. And also, so that's a number up there you can call. And you got to rate, review, and subscribe. That's what you want to do. I memorized that day one. I'm into the 60s on my podcast numbers, and rate, review, subscribe. It's like if I was being tortured, those are the three things I'd be telling you to do. Give it a positive review unless you really don't like it, and then freedom of speech will out, and then we'll just remove it. I'm just kidding. Everybody has a right to say what they want, and everybody has a right to block or remove. All right, with no further ado, the man that is responsible for Everybody Loves Raymond, besides the amazing Ray Romano, which is 9 years on CBS, one of the best sitcoms, family sitcoms of it for adults ever made, based on Ray's life, and Phil brought his life into it. So he made that show. He had a great show where he went to Russia and wanted to investigate people that knew Everybody Loves Raymond. And this is his fourth season of Somebody Feed Phil. So here we go. Here's Phil Rosenthal. Oh, Phil.
This is nice.
This is nice. This is nice. I know almost, you and I have become friends recently, very recently.
We've met each other a few times over the years. I've always loved you. I've always, whenever I see you at things, I seek you out, and we always have a good time.
The Adult Film Awards. We met at the Adult Film Awards.
I got biggest...
fluffer. It was like, that's like best boy, I think. But that I won't go any bluer than that, because I respect you and your comedy understandings of what.
My favorite thing about you, and I think this is probably true of a lot of your fans, is that the thing that we know publicly is in another way completely subverted by how absolutely filthy you are.
But do you think, and then you take a sip.
That's my sip take.
It's better than a spit take. Although I saw a spit take recently on something comedic, and it made me laugh really hard.
Very good.
Trying to think what it was. It was good.
I'm not going to do it today because this is an expensive piece of machinery I have here.
Yeah, it is. And you don't have a Zoom background of a beautiful blue room with books in it that I'm sure is not as nice as the rest of the house, which I've been on the outside.
That's all you're going to be, Bob.
I know. Before the pandemic, I was on the outside of your house. You just didn't know that. I'd be like, I have a script, and I'd throw it up to the windows with a rock on it.
We have a dog for that.
So
But we've become friends more recently, lots of lunches. I'd say I'm seeing you now once a week at least.
And we both said the same thing, or I said it and you agreed, which is at a certain age, you don't need any new friends. But if you're working with people and you go to work on some production, you do make new friends. But this is during quarantine.
But Bob, I love you so much that I actually killed one of my regular friends to make room for you in the lineup.
Did you eat them? Because I know that's what you're doing. Your friend is feeding Phil?
Always. So
That's the first question. Before we even start, I want to know, is cannibalism on the option for one of the future episodes next season?
Yes. And you should know before we get any closer that this is how you will end up, as they all do.
You eat them. Do you kind of Hannibal Lecter? Do you do the fine Chianti?
He's a snob.
He was an erudite about the whole thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not a snob that way. To me, good is good. If you taste good, you're good. Sometimes you need a little hot sauce but
now I could take this out of context, and then it made you filthier than I've ever been. Because
I like this whole line of questioning. I like.
Well, I want to start by telling you that I had watched.
Look at the puppy. Look at the puppy.
That's a beautiful.
Murray. That's Murray.
So you have something meaningful on your coffee cup. This is what I have.
That's meaningful. I would say, by the way, thank you. In all my travels, I thought it would say fuck you on the other side because it's Bob Saget.
No, I don't. I tried. They won't make that cup. They refused because it was me. I think anybody else could have gotten it done.
I actually know a guy.
Okay.
If you would like that.
I know a man who knows a guy.
Would you like the thank you on one side and the other on the other?
No. I'm not in a fuck you mode because I'm so exhausted with the world. I can't think it anymore. I think
you're even muster up a nice fuck you to the people.
I don't know. It depends on what I'm watching and what's being dealt to me.
We can't get that way, Bob. We have to keep that fuck you. We have to keep it.
Yeah.
The day you're looking at him on the TV, you know who I mean, and you can't muster up one, then he wins.
You're talking about Stephen Colbert? The man fighting for the cause. But, there are people that I love that don't feel that way about this man that we're talking about. And also, this is happening right now. What's happening right now when this episode is running. This is right now. It's happening. And more importantly, that's happening is your show's premiering.
The most important.
It premiered on the 30th.
On Friday, yeah.
Right.
So the episodes are available now, and you got a few of them to
watched
have a look.
All 5.
Wow.
Of the 4th season.
Wow.
We're on the 4th season, right?
Yeah.
So I watched the right season. That would have been bad. All of a sudden, I was in. Where was I? Where did you go? Madagascar? No. Where did you go?
In this season?
Last season. Last season
was Marrakesh.
So all of a sudden, I'm with my wife, Kelly. She is not caught up. I was fortunate enough to get the link from you through Netflix, and I was able to watch those episodes. And I watched every one of them, and I actually watched them twice because last night we did do a little skimming because how many friends can we watch you make around the world? I can watch the first time, but the second time, Kelly really was entranced by what a sweetheart you are.
Oh.
And so you fooled her.
Does she swing?
She's so young, we have a swing set. So, see, you can't say that without getting in trouble. I mean, why would I get canceled? I'm not like that. See, that's the thing.
That's what I love.
Right, because I'm not like that. People go, hey, would you like to be in this thing? And you're going to curse and you're going to have a naked person next to you. And I'm like, no, I only talk about it. Right. I don't want to do it. It's
do you think this is appropriate?
Yeah.
Or am I a schmuck? We don't know yet.
If you were in Philly and put on an Eagles hat, we'd support you, but we'd be in pain.
This is my son's hat. Look, from when he was a kid. Look. Oh, Benny.
It's nice that you wear his son's clothes. Is there something somehow Freudian?
I'm in his room. This is his room. This is I'm at his desk. Look, this is his mustache from when he was in the school play.
Oh.
He's 26 now, but he was in the high school play and he played a vice principal in a show. And
was he Tevye? He was a vice principal.
Yeah.
It looks like Tevye, or it looks like Chico and the Man. The beautiful Freddie Prinze acted with
Jack Albertson.
Jack Albertson. That's his mustache. So when he passed, did you steal that to give it to your kid?
Yeah. In fact, I didn't wait for him to pass.
He was in that Willy Wonka bed as he was about to go.
And he was delicious.
Oh, my God. And you ate him. This is the soundbite.
Now people know.
Phil, you
just
ate...
like when they find out that you're filthy, right, in real life.
Well, they know it because I've got specials. You have never come out...
finding out about me, yes.
You've never come out as filthy, ever,
I love
ever.
People so much.
Right.
Right?
So do I, yeah.
That I eat them.
Well, okay. And you mean eat in the actual carnivore sense?
How do you mean it?
Well, there are other meanings to it.
You.
I'm not filthy. Nope. There are other ways to look at it. That is not filthy. That's our world. How come every time I say something dirty...
Why can't you work clean like me and just eat the people?
Eat the people of the United States, set forth upon this continent a new nation to eat. Everything that you could add that to the Declaration of Independence. Just add to eat after every one.
I think we've run this dry, but I'm sure there'll be 3 or 4 callbacks. Stay tuned, everybody.
Let's get clever by complimenting you. So I have watched, Somebody Feed Phil. I have seen it before, of course. And I also watched your Russian Everybody Loves Raymond series, which don't you think is a springboard for how this show came to be?
It's one of them, yeah.
Yeah. What was the impetus? Not
for the
calling.
Show?
No, for your impotence. No, what was the impetus for you wanting to?
Just getting up in the morning.
I happen to know you're a very sexual person. I know that because your love of food, the way your mind, my senses are very attuned. They are. So if God forbid I got COVID, I would lose one of the things, and you would lose one of the things you love the most for a while, which is sense of taste and smell. And I also think that means all your other senses are extremely strong. Just saying. I'm saying that you could be you have a relationship with food.
True.
Are you afraid to talk?
With you?
No, well, here's what I perceived. So I watched all 5 episodes of this season, and I cannot recommend them higher to everybody that is listening, or if you're lucky enough to be with the 10 people on my YouTube page. But listening is such a wonderful season. Did you shoot them in order?
No, we shot this season with last season.
Oh.
And if we're in a certain part of the world, we'll film 2 back to back to save on time and trouble, right? So the Seoul, Korea show from this past season and the Singapore episode from this season were shot 1 week after the other.
Which must have been incredibly intense work, because I've done a show like that.
I actually got a little sick for the first time. Not food poisoning, which you see for the first time in another episode. In all my travels, I only got food poisoning one time.
Where was that?
It's in San Francisco.
Oh my God!
Of all places.
Was it from an oyster?
No idea, because that particular day I ate at many places, 3 or 4 places, and yes, you're right. You could have one bad oyster, and that's it.
It is it, yeah.
You could have a bad piece of lettuce, by the way, or a blueberry. And
you know what? A rabbit told me that.
Yes.
Because I talk to rabbits because I'm in quarantine.
You got to talk to somebody.
Well, I got a guy. But that episode in San Francisco, for me and Singapore, I don't want to pick favorites because I loved all of them.
Well, thanks.
But you do something which is so beautiful. It's shot so beautifully. It's saturated with color. And it really accents what it's about, which is your senses and your friendships with people. And I mean, in San Francisco, talking to that lovely lady with cancer, and it brings
Dominique Kren is a great chef, and I'm happy to say she's okay now.
Oh, I was going to ask you. I get scared, but it is life,
yeah.
And she's beatific in the show. But your empathy, which I know you now, that's why I took to you so quickly, like a barnacle on a Gilligan's Island boat that you referenced in your Hawaii episode, because that's where they shot the 3-hour tour Ascension.
Right, that's
launch.
Right. Yeah.
Good premise for a show. They could get saved.
How long did that show run? 5 years?
3, I think. I think it was a crazy amount of shortness. They went from black and white to color, and then I think color killed it.
It showed how truly fake the set was.
It really did. And it showed that Ginger had more beautiful mesh in front of the lenses. It was just too there. But I was going to say, I had not known Singapore. And my wife has her Eat, Travel, Rock world of production and stuff. And she's just adored it and mesmerized by not only you, but by, I love when you break the fourth wall and you involve the crew Is that your brother? Is that really your brother, Richard? Now, what's your relationship? And what's his position on the show?
He is the producer of the show. He had been a producer before I ever got the show. He was a producer of he worked at I think Comedy Central. He was a producer on Children's Hospital. Do you remember that?
I do. My friend Rob Corddry
he's
was
great.
in it.
He's great on it. So
He's
he was
brilliant.
he was an executive on that. So he actually won a couple of Emmys for that show, and he was producing original video content for Facebook when PBS 5 years ago, offered me the show, and I called my brother, and I said, I sold the show. He says, what? I said, they're gonna give me 6 episodes to go around the world and show people the best places to eat. This is what I pitched to them, and they bought it. He said, they're giving you that show. I said, yeah. He goes, what are you going to call the show? The Lucky Bastard? And I said, quit your job, produce the show with me, and we'll call our production company Lucky Bastards. And that's what it is. And I get to go around the world with my brother.
It's so wonderful.
My best friend. Even though and we get lots of letters, he's the worst thing about the show.
Why do you say that?
Because I'm his brother. That's what we do.
It's so wonderful. I wish I had a brother. Well, maybe you'll be my brother, but I'd have to have Richard. Will I want Richard as a brother?
Here's why I don't care for him. Because let's say we make that deal, right?
Right.
You'll dump me in a second for him.
He's that great?
People seem to like. Yeah, listen, Everybody Loves Raymond. That didn't come from nothing.
Oh, it came from your life.
That not only did Ray's brother in real life feel that way about him, but I realized almost years later that's how I felt.
Right.
When I was a kid, because he was the cute, 5 years younger one. And, when you're 5 and your mom brings home this guy to replace you, that's how it feels.
Yeah, that happened with 2 of my daughters. Yeah.
And I was marching around the house. Jews will not replace us. And that's.
Yeah, you had a tiki torch and a sign?
I did.
That's how you felt about having a new brother.
Yes. Don't most siblings feel that? I mean, that's what they call sibling rivalry, right? So we did. I did not get along. But then, there were moments, of course. But then after college, I started to really appreciate him, and we became best friends. And to do this show with him is one of the absolute joys in my life.
I understand.
Not him, but to have my whole family involved is.
Your handsome son was on the one.
Hawaii.
Yeah. So you brought the whole family to Hawaii, right?
And no, just him for that. Lily, I brought to Chicago. That was in season 3. Mm-hmm. All of them are in the Copenhagen show from last season.
Well, you have to go there because that's the whole Sound of Music feel. Don't
you love it? Have you been there?
I have not. I've been to Switzerland because I had to use the ATM. But you know what's interesting? You were saying Jews will not replace us. People don't realize that Jewish people try to get the jump start on their own self-loathing. So a lot of slogans that people have, for example, Jews will not replace us. I believe Jews wrote it. I believe they wrote it making fun of themselves as a joke. And then this other group, not so nice.
What's the joke?
That we won't replace ourselves. I don't have a joke. The joke is that it is a reprehensible thing, and that you made it a joke about 5 minutes ago. That's when it was a joke. If we flash back,
I thought you were going this way with it, like Irving Berlin, nice Jewish man, wrote White Christmas. Like we've always been the outsider.
That's what I'm going for. I'm saying if there's a Jewish hatred racial thing, we wrote it. I'm trying to take credit for our own slander.
All right. Well, listen, there's no shortage of self-stereotyping Jewish people who embrace it wholeheartedly, right?
Right.
Some people don't like, some Jewish people don't like that depiction.
No,
Listen,
no.
I could be a little less Jewish. Even the way I just said that could be
Yes,
a little less
if anyone
Jewish.
sees your hand is moving like it's its own creature, it's the hand. It's that movie, The Hand. But I do think that
Look at Sasha.
Yeah.
You'd have to be an idiot not to know that he's Jewish,
Right.
and that when he's making fun of anti-Semitism, which he does brilliantly,
Right.
he's pretending to be an anti-Semite.
And the thing that is even about what I said 5 minutes ago that's disturbing is that people don't know what irony or satire is as much as they used to. Which is how he gets them to sing "Throw the Jew Down the Well" because they think he's one of them. And the thing is, people that are anti-Semitic will watch Borat 2 even.
Yeah.
And will watch him be with the conspiracy theorists that believe in QAnon, and those people will go, wait till you see me in this movie. It's really funny what I did. And that was produced. I mean, they were like that, but we know how things are done. And they said, whatever. Excuse me, I'm throwing up. They said, whatever Sasha says to you, whatever Borat says to you, just go along with it and then embellish it. And they did, and they believe that. They believe in that insanity, but they're gonna they might like that movie. That's the irony. It's the Archie Bunker thing. It's the thing of,
we talked about this, yes.
Yeah.
That satire doesn't really, and maybe has never really worked. People who watched All in the Family, if you were of a certain bent, you got it for maybe as it was intended, to make fun of a bigot and to make sure the bigot gets his comeuppance at the end of every episode. That's how our friend Norman Lear, I think, wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But there are many, many people, including the then president of the United States, Richard Nixon, who saw the show.
Don't say a bad thing about him. Let me.
Go ahead.
No, that was it.
Oh,
I need you to punch up everything I say on this podcast.
Nixon actually said this. You know this quote? Why are they? They have tapes of him. Why are they always mean to that nice Archie Bunker?
Yeah.
And there was a big part of the country who saw the show as nice Archie Bunker and his idiot family, who are especially Meathead, who's a stupid liberal. Right?
Yeah.
They saw it that way. They saw Colbert on the Colbert Report as making fun of the liberals who came on the show.
So they had him do the correspondence luncheon, and he did just the opposite. He said it on Stun because he's brilliant.
Right. He's brilliant. I think it's the bravest act of comedy in our lifetime.
Yeah, Michelle Wolf did it. Michelle Wolf did it
she
also.
Was great.
And I thought she was great. I was watching it and laughing, and then people were saying it was a disaster, and it's like they don't get it.
No, I thought
they just don't get it. Well, she spoke a lot of truth is what she did.
Yes.
But the thing that with Archie Bunker, and we're going to get to Raymond too, because that's very important to me to talk about.
He was some bigot, wasn't he, Raymond?
Raymond was. He loathed everyone. Ray is the hardest on him.
Irony.
The irony is he's hardest on himself. That's the irony. But with Archie, that's how brilliant that show was beyond words, because he had 4 dimensions. And I went and saw it as a kid. I went and watched. I went and sat in the audience, and I saw Norman do the warm up. I was.
Does he know that? Did you tell him?
Yes. He can't believe I got in because I was 15.
Right.
I only lived in LA from 14 to 17, and I watched.
Do you remember the episode?
I don't, but I saw 2. They shot the same one twice in one night, and being an executive producer on one of the most successful sitcoms in life, being Everybody Loves Raymond, the writers crowd around afterward. They try to punch a scene up. They try to do some things. What do the actors feel we could do? It's usually pretty collaborative. On the Family, maybe Norman would go over I don't remember if Bud Yorkin went over, but very minor. It took 90 minutes to shoot the entire All in the Family. They would release the audience, bring in the next audience, and I wasn't even going to be in show business. I was 15. I didn't know anything, and I watched the second tape, analog, in order to understand how they made it.
Yep.
So we don't know how we're going to wind up in this business, but that obviously, who does that?
We tried to emulate this. In other words, the 4-camera sitcom filmed in front of a live audience is the perfect in between theater and film.
Yep.
So if Norman and his people and the actors came from theater, then it was in their interest and the writers to do it like a play, meaning the thing that takes time when you're taping, as you know, are scene changes, costume changes. Maybe actors don't know all their lines all the time, right? But if you come from theater and you have these chops and you're writing it like a play, meaning it's all in the living room, this whole act.
Yep.
And maybe the second act is in the kitchen or at the parents' set, and that whole act is there.
Maybe.
You can get through it in a short amount of time, doing a couple of takes per scene.
Yeah,
right?
That's what they did.
And that's what I loved growing up. All in the Family came on when I was 10 years old. And I watched, that was the first show that I was watching with my parents, because my parents didn't give a crap about pop American culture. There was nothing that we had in common in terms of entertainment. My mother wanted the opera, right? My father, maybe he liked old Jewish Catskills.
But did he like the Marx Brothers or the Ritz Brothers?
Nope, not Jewish enough.
Wow. So he liked Eddie Cantor.
He liked Myron Cohen, Penny Youngman, right? These are still his Red Buttons.
Red Buttons is one of the nicest and funniest people that, he's gone. But he won an Oscar, people don't even know, for Sayonara. Yeah. And he was one of the sweetest. And I went to roasts, and he was on the roast, and he would hug me and kiss me because we're symbiotic, a lot of comic people. And I looked up to him so much, even though he was 2 feet shorter. And he was he was roasting someone, and I know he used it before. And he talked for about 2 minutes and wasn't getting any laughs. He was just making fun of the guy. And then he said, in case you missed it, fuck. And that's what you're supposed to do at a roast. So it was just being self-aware at a roast.
You know what Monica did for me? Threw me a surprise 40th birthday roast at the Friars Club with my friends roasting me. And she hired Red to come.
In L.A.?
In L.A. when they had the L.A. Friars.
Right.
So Red Buttons came, and he did the whole Never Got a Dinner. He did the whole...
What a fortunate guy you are. That's so great.
And I taped the whole thing. I have it. I'll show you some of it. My father was on the dais. He gets up after Red Buttons. He goes, I can't believe it. I can't believe that Red Buttons was here. I first saw him 40 years ago, 50 years ago at the Tamawak Lodge. Same jokes. And my father killed.
That's amazing.
I've never been prouder.
My dad would kill too when he would speak.
Yes.
My dad spoke at the birth of my friend Brad Gray's first son. Yeah. My dad gave a 10-minute speech, and then after it was over, Mike Ovitz, a very big agent at that time, turned to my friend Brad and said, who represents him? About my dad. And he didn't care who represented me. And Brad said, what are you talking about? That's Bob's father. I have to take go ahead.
Is he still with us?
Nobody is from that conversation.
Oh.
Yeah. On that high note, we're going to take a quick break because that's what I do. Watch how quick this break is. You're going to love it. You like commercials, right?
What are we advertising today?
Oh, it could be anything from how to save on stamps to trimming your ball hair.
I could use that.
We'll be right back. All right, I'm going to talk about something that some of you people know about and some of you may not, and it's sun soil, and it is a CBD product. So let me explain it to you. These days, it seems like people are putting CBD in everything, literally in everything. It could be their green protein shake in the morning. You can put it on meat. You can put it on your friend. There's a lot of noise about it, but there's one company from Vermont. That's right, Vermont. That's worth the hype, and it's sun soil. Now, sun soil makes tons of products. A lot of people I know use them, and they love them. It is a USDA organic product. It is certified CBD, and it's made from hemp plants. So how the hemp is grown really matters, and sometimes it's not grown well. This is not done by non-experts. This isn't regular civilians. These are people that have farms. Sun Soil farms their hemp in Vermont, and they never use pesticides, herbicides, or GMOs. Simple ingredients, really simple. I try to be mindful about what I'm putting in my body, and I'm talking about, things I ingest, not what I'm putting, That's why Sun Soil is great, and I love it for people that love it, and it's made from simple ingredients that I can pronounce. Many of their products contain coconut oil and hemp. That's it. Do you understand? It's really simple, and it's organic, and it's got fair prices because Sun Soil farms their hemp and makes their CBD oil in-house. Their prices are less than half the price of other brands, so you get organic CBD at an unbeatable price. Transparency? That's me. I'm all about seeing through what I'm saying. Sun Soil clearly labels the amount of CBD that's in each serving. Sun Soil also tests every batch of product at these independent labs and publishes the results on their website. You can read it, and it's real. Sometimes you read stuff because someone just said it. This is actually research, and they publish it on their website. And they give back. Sun Soil donates a percentage of sales via 1% for the planet to environmental and community causes. So Sun Soil makes CBD oil with simple organic ingredients. You get 30% off your first order by going to sunsoil.com/Bob. That's sunsoil.com/Bob, sunsoil.com/Bob for 30% off your first order, sunsoil.com/Bob. You won't be sorry unless you've done something else. Okay, we're back. And I'm very productive.
I bought a lot of whatever was just hawked. I bought.
Yeah, you bought stamps that you can lick and put on your clean manscaped area. So I have so much to talk to you about.
We can talk all day, but you have you want entertainment on your show.
You're wonderful, and you are entertaining because there's nobody quite like you. I mean, there are, but I don't think
they're all dead.
They're from another generation.
So my dad is 94.
And he's on your show, and he does punchlines. You check in with him on the laptop on Somebody Feed Phil. Brand new episodes out right now on Netflix.
Thank you. Isn't he the best part? I think he's the best part.
He's adorable. Now, who is Monica?
Oh, she's a crazy lady who got into my house somehow.
Now, is she and your dad have a relationship?
They do. When my mom was ill this past year, it's a year now that she's passed.
I'm sorry.
But that's all right. When listen, it's not a tragedy when an 86-year-old person passes away.
I think it is. I don't want to go at 86. I want to go at, 96. 106. Okay. Yeah.
That's good. Yes, to you it's a tragedy when you go. But I really do believe if I was 86 and I was suffering, I would want to go.
I'm suffering now.
Time to go. By the way, I have your sauce picked out.
What is it? To eat me, you're saying?
Yes, that's it.
That's the theme of this show.
You won't go to waste, Bob. You will not go to waste.
First thing, I am flattered that you want to eat me. Some people, if a cannibal wants to eat them.
But now that I'm a celebrity eater, it's kind of flattering, isn't it?
It's amazing. It's like, it's like a badge of honor.
To me, the tragedy is the suffering, not the going.
I agree.
Okay. So when she was suffering, my wife, who is a saint, flew to New York to help them, to be with them, to be with my mother, to take care of my dad. And, lucky idiot was going around the world eating at this time, because you got to go when they say you can go, because it's sometimes years in between seasons if you're lucky enough to get picked up at all. So I had to go. There was nothing else to do. And by the way, I had breaks in between every episode, and I would fly there and I'd be with them, and then I would take the week and then go, but always checking in. But Monica was the hero of the story, as she's been the hero in my life. And that's why you see her with my dad in the episodes now.
She's lovely, and she knows your dad, and I think he's very happy she's there. I think he's attracted to her. I do feel that.
I might have to do something then.
I noticed it in the past couple episodes that he acts like he's just looking at you, but he's kind of performing for her a little bit too. I
don't like where this is going, Bob.
I'm just insinuating that your father and Monica are sleeping together. I mean, I didn't want to. You
know what I would say to him?
Good for you.
Dad, I have to, but you?
He knows every one of those. Did he do that joke on the show?
Nope. I do it all the time.
There was another one that came from unfortunately, there were jokes that when I was a kid, they were Polish jokes. And, and they're unfortunate because and there is in Newfoundland, they call them Newfies. There's Newfie jokes. And every country has its people that they criticize. And I'm Polish. I'm from, you probably go back far enough. You're Russian and Polish, right?
I'm part, I think my dad's side is from Poland. My mom's side's from Germany.
Well, that's a conflict of interest.
Every now and then I invade myself.
Oh, who doesn't? We're going to get back to that. And you and your food love is, to me, there is a sexual particle. There's a sexual particle, and I want to run it down to the lab.
That's about it now.
Your DNA,
that's all that's left.
Your DNA is all over every country you visit, every city you visit. You put chopsticks in your mouth, in another man's mouth, then back in your mouth. You touch food, you lick your fingers, you eat food, you put food in people's mouths. Have you ever thought...
This is starting to become the aristocrats.
It is. Ta-da! So you've got everybody's putting their hands in each other's mouths, and he's working them like a puppet.
This guy goes in here, up here, and that.
So the question I have is, does that ever dawn on you after the cameras roll that you have been touching...
What have I done? I'm disgusting. No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Well, now in this world, in the COVID world.
It was pre-COVID. We finished filming in mid-January, so just under the wire. And no, there was no... you become a family like the crew, and we all shared everything. It was all... We didn't care.
Yeah, I do the same thing when I'm working with people. I have no problem exchanging fluids with anyone.
That's why you're in trouble.
Of the new 5 episodes, Mississippi Delta, San Francisco.
That one. I do love that one because it blows up stereotypes. And that's my favorite thing.
That's what I wanted to know. Was there anything going on? They all know they're on television. Was there anything going on that felt like anything under the surface that we don't know is going on? Because you're talking to that very smart, interesting, blonde gentleman who had a way of talking like that and kind of gives you information. And I just always in the back of my mind thought, are there any of these? Is there any underlying anything?
I'm sure there is. I didn't meet them on this episode.
That's what you loved about it so much.
Yeah.
Because when you're hugging people at the end and you're having a good time, I had a similar experience.
I don't know who they vote for. I don't know what they're...
No, and that's the bottom line, Phil. That's where you and I are similar. We want what we want for ourselves and our children and our lives. But if someone else is believing in someone else, and no matter what law of the office of the world, no matter what position, I'm not quite speaking well, but
you are.
I I just want people to be able to love each other, and we're all here for commonality, which is to move the human race forward, not to pick sides and annihilate each other, especially in our neighborhood. You don't move into a house, and if someone on the left is one kind of person and someone on the right's another, you don't create enemies out of your neighbors, and we seem to have been doing that in the past, how many years? It's been...
So that brings, you back, or me back, to why I do the show in the first place.
That's what I want to talk about.
Because food is the great connector.
And music, but this is not a music show. And no one can afford a music show.
We've had some music on the show.
Yes,
how about the theme song? Isn't it great?
It's adorable. Who wrote the theme song?
Dive. I wrote down some lyrics. I sent it to this band that I love, Lake Street Dive, and they fleshed it out and made it a song. And we tinkered with it a little bit, but it is what it is. They are phenomenal, and I love bringing them up because I want them to be way more famous than they already are. Lake Street Dive. Get their albums. That Rachel Price is one of the world's greatest singers, and the band is so adept. They can play anything. They're so good and so fun.
Well, I
love them.
I have a question. How long have you been sleeping with the band?
Well, about 5 years now.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what that's about right with the trajectory of the whole band. That's what I'm saying.
The whole band. There used to be 7 of them, but you know what happened?
Yeah, because two of you ate them. And the other people have to feed Phil, and I don't even want to think about that. You're like a fondue pot. But, woo. But
when we find music, we have it because, yes, music is the food of love, play on, right? You know that expression?
I do.
From Shakespeare.
Yeah.
So
nice Jewish boy.
But I love people. The show is about people. I'm just using food and my stupid sense of humor as the way in, as the way to get you. I want you to travel. I want you to travel because I want you to meet the people. The world would be better if we all could experience a tiny bit of other people's experiences.
Yeah. And then you go and get to meet some food royalty. And Thomas Keller is someone I've had the pleasure of meeting, but I haven't had, and Kelly and I, we slow motioned watching that last night. Because we love this man, and we're fortunate enough to be able to afford to be able to eat his food.
Did you go to French Laundry?
I have been to French Laundry. We have a gift certificate from our wedding, which was 2 years ago, that we haven't been able to use to French Laundry for many zeros. And not that we're zeros. And I've eaten a few times at Per Se, and I think Ad Hoc is one of my favorite experiences on the earth. And you ate that fried chicken, which even he is proud of. In some ways, he's proud of everything.
Yeah,
but there's
a right to be.
I'm glad you're not about going places and showing the high-end people. You're not. This show is an exploration of where is the best food, and
sometimes it is the high-end people, but most of the time.
Well, in Singapore, a meal at one of those stands in what would look like a food court is pretty much the price of French Laundry because you're in Singapore.
To get to Singapore, yes.
I thought the pricing in Singapore, it's the most expensive country in the world, apparently.
Except the food. And this is what that gentleman was talking about when we were sitting there, and he was saying it's completely screwed up, the whole system, because here we are in the most expensive city on the earth, and this thing you're eating is $1 when all these people here have hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're coming here and they're giving this poor guy $1.
I didn't understand that the food was that cheap. I understood that everybody was wealthy.
Because they don't value it, because they take it for granted. And the same thing happens a little bit here. We're not paying, and this is a whole other conversation, we're not paying the true cost of food. And people in the food industry, it's been screwed up even before COVID. Now COVID is like this sledgehammer on people's heads.
Oh, it's horrific what it's done. Yeah, to all businesses everywhere. And that's what I want to compliment you on. Quick sidebar. During all of the voting time, during everybody waiting in lines, trying to get to Election Day, you went, and I gave you a couple shekels. Did you read my message? Did you see a message from me? We can't talk about it on here. there's a message.
Where can I find the message? Oh, at the site where you donate?
Yeah.
I have to go on.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing you were doing. Tell everybody what you wanted to do.
It's very simple. I started something called Somebody Feed the People because I saw that people were waiting on long lines at the polls, which should not be in America. And I thought, if you're going to wait 8, 10, 12 hours, maybe we could feed you. So if you go to my website, the money is funneled to World Central Kitchen, who has the infrastructure, and something called Pizza to the Polls. But I've loved this program. I love the idea of it. I love the name, Somebody Feed the People. And so I'm announcing here on your show, Bob, that Somebody Feed the People is going to continue because people need to be fed all the time.
Everywhere.
Not just waiting at the polls. So
how will you go about that? Will you mobilize food trucks?
Yes, that and I let World Central Kitchen handle that kind of infrastructure. I don't have the capacity. I'm a guy, but I want to.
I'm glad you made. That's the first time I've heard you say that. Also,
that I'm a guy.
Yeah.
We have one more announcement at the end of this, Bob. But
I'll do the change if you do.
Okay, good.
Just lost 2 listeners. So this is a beautiful thing you're doing. Thank you for doing it. Thank you.
Well,
I mean, food hunger.
Here's
the World Hunger Organization, I often give to food banks. That's a lot of what I like to give to. I do sometimes those cameos for people, and I give money to the food banks or to my Scleroderma Research Foundation or to the Red Cross. I mean, there's so many. I mean, it's the people that need money that aren't getting it through government funding, and this has been going on forever. Yeah. The non-for-profits that you go and make a motion to help, and people that are philanthropic help, that keeps them alive.
Here's how I feel, and I have a feeling you feel the same way. You're talking to the luckiest person you're ever going to talk to. That's honestly how I feel. I'm the luckiest to have the life that I've been lucky enough to have. Makes me very, very lucky. And I feel like it's only good if you can share it.
Yeah.
What am I, Howard Hughes, sitting alone, peeing in a jar? I want to share my good fortune that I've been lucky enough to have. It's that simple. It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Right? So almost selfishly, you do it because of how it makes you feel.
It's why I try to do everything that way. It's why I'm doing this podcast. I didn't start it because, nobody's working, so I'll do a podcast because we can't work. I started it 2 months before the quarantine because I was out doing stand-up and I felt people are all over the place. There's so much pain. I felt the anger in the room. And that was happening because of what's been going on.
Yes.
And where our government is gone and disenfranchised and people angry about wanting to go back to the old days and people wanting to go, no, but we need to move forward. And I felt racism in the audience. So I said, I want to do something. I want to do more. And I'm doing it in my stand-up, but I can't do my stand-up right now. I could, but I'm not a drive-in kind of guy. But let me go back. This is where I go back. I go back to what made Phil Rosenthal Phil. So I know you were a deli clerk. We were texting just a little while ago. You love a good sandwich. I was a deli clerk, and I would venture to say I can slice lox like nobody's business.
That's a real talent.
I can debone a whitefish. I can take the gold whitefish, the smoked whitefish.
Yeah.
I don't think I've lost anyone in the audience right now. And I can take all of the bones out of it and then put the skin back on so it looks like it has bones. That's how I want to be. That's how I want to be done with at the end of my life.
If you thought I was a fan of yours before.
But so now, deli clerk to now. How did you stumble in? What college? How did you get from where you were? You were a writer. Just take me as you can all the way to how you sold Everybody Loves Raymond, how you met Ray.
I thought I was going to be an actor. I thought I was going to be a character actor like Walter Matthau or Art Carney or one of these guys. That's who I watched on TV. That's who I loved. And that's what I was told I was good at in school. So I got all the leads in the high school play. I got the leads in some of the college plays. And I thought this is going to be easy. And I moved into New York. And guess what? Nobody cared. And so I struggled and struggled and struggled. I was a deli manager. I worked at the Metropolitan Museum of Art as a guard. I got fired there for falling asleep on a 300-year-old bed. Yeah.
I would have done that.
Yes.
But I don't picture you as a guard. It's
Nobody. Guess what? They didn't either.
I mean, I don't want to say Barney Fife, but I mean, if you had a criminal come in, did you have a gun?
No. At the Metropolitan Museum of Art, your uniforms are designed by Bill Blass, so you are part of the art. You're just you're figurative. You're not.
That's a cool job, though. That's a cool place to work.
It's not cool for $180 a week. It's not so cool.
No.
But it was. I learned a lot about art. Because after work, I could go up to the paintings, be alone in the Impressionist wing, alone.
And touch yourself?
Touch the painting.
Oh, both of them are illegal.
Both. And then, but the things that
Did you ever touch yourself to the painting?
I refuse to answer this question on the grounds.
Boy, that hopper is hot.
Really hops. I would read everything next to the painting that you never have time for when you're a regular person going to the museum.
Right.
But then I work midnight to 8 in the morning. The guards are completely redundant at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. There's alarm systems and laser beams and everything. Nothing. In fact, whenever there is a crime of any kind in most of the great art museums in the world, the guards did it.
Wow. So you could have stolen Starry Night.
People, I heard amazing stories. One guard smashed a window in the Egyptian wing. This is before my time. It was legendary. Took Nefertiti's jewels to the pawn shop on 86th Street. The pawn shop guy says, "Where did you get these?" He says, "My sister." He says, "Hold on a second." He calls the Metropolitan Museum of Art. He goes, "I think I have something you might want." And they say, "Stay right there."
And they arrested the guard?
Of course.
I saw King Tut in there when he was on tour.
How was he? I heard the up tempos weren't as good as they used to be.
Yeah, he really didn't have, his horn section was terrible. So
we all know him through Steve Martin.
Yeah. Oh my God, Dewey. What a brilliant man he is. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So you're reading you're reading the side of painting so you can read.
Yes.
But were you writing? Were you writing at
Nothing,
the time?
no writing. But until, sometimes it takes years to get it into your skull.
The young people want to learn this. They want to know this. Yeah. How do you become the executive producer of one of the most successful shows ever on TV?
Well, first of all, before you can get my book, and I'm not here to sell books, but it's called You're Lucky You're Funny, How Life Becomes a Sitcom. And it is the very story that I'm telling you. Get the audiobook. It's like having me in the car with you for 7 hours.
Why don't they just get you in the car and we can just drive?
Yes, but not everybody can get me like you can, Bob. You're special.
And then maybe if I pass out, you'll eat me.
I don't even wait.
You'll eat a living person. An awake living person.
There are those, like in certain countries, they just break open the live shrimp and here you go.
Yeah. And you were not a guy who enjoyed tuna raw ever until you got, where were you when you had those pieces of, was it Hawaii? Yeah, it was Hawaii. When you said, I'm not a pokey guy.
I'm not a pokey guy. It had nothing to do with the raw because I love sushi. I just never found great poke, I guess, in America, right?
And
we'll say the mainland.
Right. And it was crazy fresh.
It was amazing. Amazing, that poke. Because poke, I realized it wasn't the sauce that's on it or the preparation. It's the cut is called poke.
That's what they kept saying.
Cubes,
right.
Like dice. It's a dice cut.
Back to successes, or how do you get to being a writer?
Okay. So it took me years and years and years, and some other friends of mine from Hofstra University, where we went to theater, we studied theater, to realize that maybe no one's going to give us a break as actors. Maybe we should write something for ourselves to be in. And so we did that. And that became successful. And at the same time, my best friend from high school, Alan Kirschenbaum, showed up at my house, my little apartment, with a word processor in 1987 and said, we're going to write a screenplay. I don't know anything about writing a screenplay, but he does. He's already a writer. And he and I write a screenplay for Alan Arkin. Okay, that's who we have in our head to play a suburban detective. We sell the screenplay, our first thing that we ever wrote, to HBO for $70,000. Do you know that I went from having $200 in the bank to now it was a thousandaire. It was the biggest thing that ever happened to me.
Did it get made?
Nope.
Right.
You know what they said when we said, they said, who do you see casting? We said, we wrote it for Alan Arkin. They said, Alan Arkin doesn't open a movie.
Right.
And we
one of my favorite actors of all time.
One of the great actors of all time.
Yeah.
You know who called us? Jerry Lewis. I think if you look in the dictionary, opposite of Alan Arkin, there's Jerry Lewis. And that's who so we took that meeting. I'm glad I did, because it's legendary now, the meeting. That was incredible.
Right.
Did you ever meet him? Did you ever talk to him?
I did, but I met him in the older years where he would just try to hump my leg as a joke. He would just go, Weigel, and then hump my leg. And you're very handsome, you know.
Weigel. Amazing. You'd be sitting in the restaurant and he would suddenly go, cookie, I love a cookie.
Right. Then you realize Marty Short is sometimes doing an homage to Jerry so much.
Yeah.
I love Martin. So anyway, back to this. How do we get from that?
So I do that. I get that. Everything is a little stepping stone. I moved to Hollywood because now I was eating, I went from eating tuna fish for dinner to eating whatever I wanted as a writer.
Except people, because you hadn't gotten to where you are now.
You got to listen. You have to have a little success before you get up to people.
You got to earn it.
You got to earn the person, right? The top of the food chain, Bob.
So you had a great script to show your wares that you co-wrote.
Yes, and so I got a partner in LA, and we got hired on a sitcom. And our first sitcom that we got hired on, I know this is it's going to be one of your favorites that you've ever seen, the Robert Mitchum sitcom.
Oh my God, I had no clue there was one.
That's right. That's how good it was.
And was he trying to be funny, or was he able to do Robert Mitchum and everyone else was funny around him?
Nothing in it at all was funny.
So it really wasn't a sitcom. It was kind of a Playhouse 90 kind of thing?
It was kind of a sit.
It was a rom-com.
It lasted seven episodes. It deserved to die, but it served its purpose, which was teaching me what a show could or could not be.
And what year was that?
1989.
Wow.
Then my partner and I worked on a show called Down the Shore, which was wonderful, that Alan Kirschenbaum created. Pamela Adlon was in it. And that's how we met 30 years ago. And Anna Gunn was in it. And Lou Schneider, the comedian, was in it.
Yeah.
And my friend Tom McGowan, the great Broadway actor, was in it, who I went to Hofstra with. Wonderful. Lasted a season and a half. Went from there to a couple other shows you never heard of. But then we got hired on Coach, which you did hear of.
Of course.
Coach was in its 5th or 6th season by the time we were hired to work on it. And during the 3rd season that I was there, my partner and I amicably split up, just because you make more money if you can get hired individually.
Right.
And it was during that 3rd season that I got a video cassette of a comedian who had worked his whole life to be on the David Letterman show. And after one 6-minute appearance on Letterman, Letterman said there should be a sitcom for this Ray Romano fellow. We meet at Art's Deli on Ventura for every crazy story he has about his Italian family. I have one about my fakakta Jewish family.
Right.
And I realized this is the show.
And family is family. And especially if it doesn't matter if it is strong in ethnicity, but it helps because there's more loudness, there's more cutting each other off, there's more hand movements, there's more drama in a family of you don't see a lot of exciting arguments in a white Anglo-Saxon family. Although I probably should take that all back because Roseanne existed, because Lucy existed. Although Ricky, there you go. So I think I stand corrected.
It just shows you that the more specific you get, a woman who marries a Cuban band leader and always wants to be in that show. That's a very specific premise, right? The more universal it became.
Because it was based on their lives, because it was based on their marriage, not unlike...
all our lives are specifics.
Yeah.
So we identify just with the fact that something is specific. I get letters still from Sri Lanka about Everybody Loves Raymond. That's my mother. I don't know your mother in Sri Lanka. I was writing my mother.
I've gotten letters from Sri Lanka saying, would you please be my husband? Would you fly me? I will do anything for you.
Nice.
But that's different than you've changed my life.
Yes.
You get those? You get things where people go that I just watched somebody feed Phil and I want to feed you. I want to,
Yes, it's very nice. I take them all up on it.
So they come out?
No, I go there.
I have so many things.
You don't hear about them, though. You don't hear about them. You know why?
Don't say you eat them. Please don't. Don't.
I'm confessing a little bit today, Bob.
Yeah, because
you're getting an exclusive.
You love cultural food.
I do.
You love to eat people.
I love diversity.
From all over the world. You love to eat you eat all people.
I'm an equal opportunity eater. I love everybody.
So now here you are. You go into CBS's office. HBO is one of the partners on the
CBS.
show. It's Worldwide Pants. It's David's company.
Worldwide Pants is going to be the producing studio with HBO producing for CBS. That's where Dave's development deal is. So it goes to CBS. But they have to like the show. They already liked Ray. And they had to like our script. And I went to New York. I interviewed with Dave to get the job, which was very crazy. And then, I got the job.
And Dave was, I assume, incredibly nice and straightforward with you.
Here's what he said. He gave me one piece of advice. You ready?
Yep.
Just don't embarrass us.
Well, that's not a bad piece of advice.
That was it.
It's really about him making sure he's not embarrassed. Well, embarrassment would have been that you write crap, that you put people in situations that we would go, oh my God, why did that get on the air? And that was impossible because you are a man of integrity. So how did you approach it, and who would you say so you were very close with Ray in the process, right?
Yeah.
And
listen, he was very nervous, understandably. He'd never acted before.
And look at him now. He's such a good actor.
He's Scorsese noticed.
In Vinyl. I was the other person that was up for that part in Vinyl.
I didn't know that.
And Martin wrote me a letter saying and they told me not to take any jobs. And he said, there was one other person. I'm so sorry you didn't get the job. Your work was so good. And I found out later that he was not aware of Ray or me from television.
That's right. He doesn't. He lives in a bubble of Italian art movies.
Correct. And he wrote. I sent him my book called Dirty Daddy, and I said, if there's anything else you want to know about me, it's in this book. And he wrote back. And he said, thank you so much for this. I just very complimentary, very interesting. And I'm sure it was very, very nice. And Ray was the right one for the part. See, when you learn how it works, and people sometimes go, actors that are out of work, which is very common, go, oh, that actor got my part. That's not true. It's their part. And it's your experience along the way. And I've learned that. more than I want to admit. But it was wonderful to see Ray in that, and then to see him do. I watched Paddleton that he did with Mark Duplass, and
great,
he's so great, such a wonderful. He's such a great actor and such a thoughtful person.
But you know where that comes from? I'll give you a great example of how you knew he would be a great actor. Early on, there was a bit where we wrote Deborah's a terrible cook, the wife is a terrible cook, and even the coffee is awful, right? And so it's in the script. And he goes, yeah, I see I got to drink coffee in this scene. I said, yeah. He goes, yeah, I don't drink coffee. I said, oh, well, you know, it's TV and the cup can be anything you want. He goes, no, they'll know. They'll know. He didn't realize it, but this is the method, right?
Right.
He won't do it
because he's being Ray.
He's being true.
Mm-hmm.
It must be true.
What did he end up drinking? Tea?
We cut the bit. 8 shows later, we forgot, right?
Right.
And we had another coffee thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in run through, and he picks up the cup, and I go, oh shit, I forgot. Ray, I'm sorry, we'll change it. He goes, no, at some point I have to start acting, I guess. He drank the coffee.
See, with me and Full House, that character was a third of possibly who I am as a human being, which is I love my kids, I love people I hug, and I wanted to be Felix Unger and clean. That was a external affectation that I took, an impediment, if you will. But it couldn't have been farther from who I was as a person, so I accepted it as an acting job the moment I started, that I'm going to be a character.
An actor. But
people thought...
You arrive as an actor.
Right.
He arrived as a comedian, as a person who his whole act was being truthful, and he found all the stuff.
Not unlike Jerry. Like Jerry. I mean, Jerry stayed true to who he was. He would go out with friends, sit there, and go, why is a salt shaker have this many holes in the lid? You know, or whatever.
Exactly. But here's the difference. Jerry never, and I think he would admit this, made any effort to act.
No.
Ever.
Oddly enough.
He was a comedian.
Yes, but he recommended my acting teacher to me.
Really?
When I was 23, I believe he was 24, and he had been studying, he tried my teacher, Daryl Hickman, and then I believe he was with Milton Katsalas for a while, and then I went to Daryl Hickman, and for 5 years I would do the road as a comic, and then study scenes and do scene work, and try to learn what acting was, simply because I wanted to direct. I did not know where I was headed at all. But Jerry said, I think this guy would be good for you. And that's, you look at the things that happened in our lives that if one door had not closed, another one wouldn't have opened. It's so interesting.
Absolutely.
9 years of Raymond, 9 years.
That's why I say luck all the time. All the planets have to line up just for one of these sitcoms to get on the air.
Doesn't happen.
To get the Robert Mitchum show on the air, all the planets had to line up.
Yeah.
So everything that happens after that, you're picked up for another season, right?
Yep.
You get, and then another one, and then an award comes, and here's an Emmy award. Oh my God. And then 20 years later, people are still watching the show.
I had to write a letter to the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences and say, please never nominate Full House or myself for anything. And they kept that promise.
You have clout. That's clout.
Yeah. Well, we weren't
because
that
I
show.
know they wanted to shower you.
They wanted to shower me, like in Russia, back in the day with the PP tape. That's how they wanted to shower me with greatness. We're going to take one more break, and then we're going to come right back again, because I'm not finishing until your son comes home. So this could take days. I've talked about this before because it's real. My daughter couldn't sleep. She was having trouble. I got her a Helix sleep mattress. She loves it. She sleeps better. Her life has changed. Her back is better. She's a yoga person. She was easily out of whack. Helix Sleep made the difference because they literally tailor-make the bed mattress for you. All right? If you're not able to sleep because of today's politics, your love life, any other drama you got, anything. It could be anything. Just life in general. Come on. We're all going through one of the hardest times we've ever gone through. This is what you need. Sleep. Am I right? I can't hear you. Sleeping on a terrible mattress, my life was crappy. I was on the road. I was sleeping on mattresses that were made of paper. Put a quarter in, they would shake. Meant nothing. I want to help put people to sleep. Not in the Kevorkian way, in the good way. You lay on a mattress. You can't believe it's comfortable. You got a decent pillow, and you sleep. You know how important sleep is? A good night's sleep? Well, it's very important, and you can trust me because I put the word very in front of it. Helix Sleep makes personalized mattresses made right here in America and shipped straight to your door with free no-contact delivery, free returns, and a 100-night sleep trial. There'll be a trial afterward to make sure you had 100 nights. And to choose a mattress, Helix made a quiz that takes just 2 minutes to complete. I did this with my daughter. And it literally matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. If you like a mattress that's really soft or firm, or you sleep on your side or your back or upside down or on your head, or you sleep really hot, really cold, whatever the heck your temperature is, there is a specific mattress for each and everybody's unique taste. I took the quiz, but more importantly, my daughter took the quiz with me, so we got to share something together, and it was to help her sleep. And she was matched with the amazing Helix mattress that matched her because she wanted something that felt medium. She sleeps on her back a lot. She moves around all night, and then she lays like a lump, like a grape. And she loves it. She loves it. She's been sleeping better. Her life has changed. She literally told me this. I'm not BSing you. Those are my initials. She falls asleep right away. Well, she always has, but this is even better. She's more rested. She's just happy. Look. She's tried other brands. Her last brand was garbage. It wasn't good, and it was a famous brand, and it just was not as good as a Helix Sleep. Delivery was quick and easy, and she recommended it to her friends and her family, and I'm her family, and she recommended it to me, and I got it for her. I love Helix, but you don't need to take my word for it. Helix was awarded the #1 best overall mattress pick of 2020 by GQ, Wired Magazine, and Apartment Therapy. If you live in an apartment right now, you need therapy. Just go to helixsleep.com/Bob. Take their 2-minute sleep quiz. They'll match you to a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. Okay? Remember this. They have a 10-year warranty, and you get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it. But you will. You will. I'm not brainwashing you. You just will. And right now, Helix is offering up to $200 off of all mattress orders. I don't know if you heard me. Right now, Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders. Get up to $200 off at helixsleep.com/Bob. I'm Bob, and I want to put you to sleep. All right, we're back.
Hello.
Hi. So I'm blown away completely by a country that I had no knowledge of. I really didn't. Singapore is, and you say in the beginning, as you do on a wonderful show like this, is it a country? Is it a part of Japan? Is it a part of Malaysia? What is it? And you explain it all, and then I see this architecture, and then many things come to mind, which is, are they a democracy? What's going on there?
I don't know. It seems very free and open. I heard here there's legalized prostitution there.
Right.
And yet you can be arrested for chewing gum.
Yes, there's and you're in the elevator. You can't pee in an elevator. Is that a real sign?
That's a sign, a real sign.
That's real. You didn't put that in there.
Do not pee in an elevator. Yes.
And you hadn't even thought of it until you saw the sign.
Then all I wanted to do was pee in the elevator.
Of course, because that's a comedian mentality, is to go against the grain.
But imagine what was going on there, that they had to have a sign.
It seems a bit like communism to have the people so under wraps, but I didn't get that vibe from what I was watching. It felt like a dream society. I don't know. I know there's very few cases of COVID there.
Here's what's not a dream.
Right now, there's very few cases.
Yes. It's hot. It's hot.
That's why you would go to dinner at a restaurant and you had on a short sleeve shirt and it's soaking wet. And then you came down the staircase dressed to the nines because you were going to a fancier restaurant. No, I have really absorbed this episode. I absorbed all of them.
I love you for that.
Well, it's a wonderful show. I mean,
thank you.
I think people are going to respond very, very well to these new episodes.
I'm so happy. All I want to do is keep doing it. You can imagine.
It's hard. I mean, I did a show called Strange Days for A&E.
Yes.
And we shot 6 of them. They wouldn't let us run the pilot originally because we got women for mail order brides for guys in Odessa. And after we left there, a lot of bad things happened in Ukraine. And pneumonia broke loose. People died from it. I actually got pneumonia when I came back, which means it was in the air. And then, of course, there was a bit of a civil war that happened right after we left. And then we didn't run that episode, and we started with me joining a biker club called Iron Order, and that was
sounds like a different tone. Your
totally different. But then I went to summer camp one episode. And then I looked for Bigfoot with the guys that, of course, ended up with their own show, and mine was canceled. But I got the Bigfoot guys started.
Will you promise me that if I'm lucky enough to get another season, that you'll come with me and eat a little bit?
I would love it. Where would we go? Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Are you inferring that on a new season you would actually eat me? Is this like you're just getting me across the ocean? You take me somewhere, you put me in a nice hotel suite, we go to a restaurant, and I'm on the menu.
I can promise you this. Your last days will be comfortable.
with my entire rib cage empty. There's a famous artist that drew for Playboy. I don't know how you said his name. Gahan. Gan Wilson? Was it Gan?
Yeah.
Or Graham?
Gan Wilson.
Gan Wilson. And he did a cartoon which applies to exactly what we're talking about. It's a cute little guy, like a Wally Cox kind of guy. That's an old reference for a lot of people. But
I love Wally Cox.
A little guy, an innocent, if you will.
You know who his best friend was? Sorry to digress.
Marlon Brando.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we don't need this. We know we're in sync so much that we were texting about what sandwiches to have tomorrow.
Yep.
With Norman Lear, to name drop someone that we love and regard so highly, and we both thought of Bay Cities.
That's right.
That's
Kismet.
It's deli clerks. I think that's what it is. That's our real heritage. But the thing. There's this cartoon by this guy. So there's this little nerdy guy in a restaurant. It's just one panel, one big full page in Playboy. And this guy's sitting there looking very timidly at the guy sitting across from him who has fangs and he's ghoulish and large. And he's got a bib on with the other guy's face on it. So the guy is afraid.
Like it would be a lobster bib with a picture of a lobster.
Exactly. So he knows he's going to get eaten. So that's...
You know it's adorable? That you remember the cartoons in Playboy.
You know, I was interviewed a couple times for Playboy, and I was in a 20 questions, and I swear to God, the last thing I read was my interview.
Yes, of course.
I went right through pictures. I was hetero at 5. Which is fortunate because that's the only thing I didn't have to question in my life.
One of my uncles got me for my bar mitzvah a 3-year subscription at 13.
That's the right age. That's when you need it.
I think it's a disaster. I think it takes a kid's head, and as great as it is in the moment, and there were many moments, it screws you up because it makes you think that's what a woman is. That's who you're supposed to.
You're right.
You're
right. The James Bond woman.
Instead of real girls in junior high and high school. These are not them. when you're
know.
13.
I know.
And so you have these unrealistic expectations. And for a little nebbish shrimp like me, who couldn't throw a ball,
Right.
who was I to say that I should be pining after, you're not good enough.
In
right?
some ways, it allowed you to be during those 50s and 60s that changed the world. It allowed men to go, this is what a man wants and still enjoys, that misogynistic type of attitude that I mean, it's kind of, and I've had my wish granted throughout my life. I've dated people that were models and stuff, and I've found it to be, sadly, fairly shallow as a result. And I didn't know it. Doesn't mean they weren't nice people, but I was going for something that magazine told me was okay. And I had the good fortune to meet Hugh Hefner a few times. He would come to my stand-up. And it was just, and I'd go to the mansion, and it was a time. It's so interesting that a lot of these things are not existing anymore because the world has changed. And my wife has so much substance, and she's a very beautiful woman, but we have hardcore conversations, not hardcore, not only about, all we talk about is porn, I mean, and the magazine has changed so that it's very open now to, any kind of love that anybody.
I am not a prude. Whatever turns you on, great. I'm very happy.
Except the animal kingdom, I'm against.
Don't do that.
No, I don't think so. I don't want to see someone with a horse on the receiving or on the giving. I mean, it's not.
Unless the horse invites you.
If it's a talking horse and it can verbalize,
Mr. Ed.
This is consensual. Wilbur.
Mr. Ed.
A lot of comedians back in the day did impressions of Wilbur and Mr. Ed. Oh, Wilbur. And that's what it was. That's all it was. So you are now out right at this minute with a brand new show.
Yeah.
And it is on Netflix. I'm saying everybody has to see this show.
I love you for saying that. I'm so happy that people like the show. I get the nicest response from people.
Well, it's because your spirit is so kind, and you can only fake that so much. I mean, you must have been bummed sometimes when you'd be at the set. You'd be exhausted, I would imagine. You get to wherever you're going. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, you don't even have to answer this. You don't have to talk for the rest of the podcast. You're going to say, no, when I would show up, I'd be so excited to be there and meet new people and try new food that it doesn't matter how tired I was. Is that kind of in the general area?
You know how they make a dog food commercial? They don't feed the dog until the commercial. So I'm the dog. I don't eat until I show up at the location we're going to film. So I'm happy to eat anything.
Can I be honest with you? When you eat all day, now when you eat and then you leave and you eat and then you eat more, is that separated by a couple days? No human.
You're seeing a week of filming condensed into less than an hour.
Because if a human being did all those meals at once, they would die.
Right. Well, yeah. And the other thing you might notice is I don't finish anything. I share it. I share with the crew. If you look at my Instagram, there's a picture of me feeding a camera guy because I see him watching. He's watching like this with his mouth hanging over.
Oh, they're so hungry.
You need to try this. You need to try this. I'm always, my brother, the director, John Badolis, who's fantastic. Everybody anyone around. If you're there, you're going to eat.
And alcohol. You got people working with equipment. You could lose a shot or whatever, but you got them all a lot of booze. What was the place that had the shakers in it that you turned the crank?
Oh, that's at Raffles Hotel.
Say it again.
Raffles Hotel in Singapore. And they have the famous drink there. The Singapore Sling was invented at that bar.
Yes.
And they have a Singapore Sling cocktail shaker times 12. It's a machine that you crank and it shakes them like pistons on a locomotive, the shakers.
It's gorgeous. It's something like out of Jules Verne.
And I loved it. I got to work it. And so what am I going to do with all these? Well, I got 20 people.
I know
there.
that you had at least two, because the first one you drank it, you were thirsty, so you drank it like a fast Mai Tai. It was gone.
It's a lot like, and it goes down a lot like. Remember camp? Remember Hawaiian Punch?
Yeah, but
it's a lot like that.
I never went to camp. I never got to go. No.
That's why you did it in your show?
Yeah.
You wanted to do it?
Yeah, it was stuff I wanted to do.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, except I was hanging out with 14-year-old boys, so I pretty much had to keep my mouth shut.
So you had a lot of fun is what you're saying.
No, don't go there.
I know what you did, Bob.
I taught them their bar mitzvah part a year late because they weren't Jewish. Well, all 5 episodes, let's see, we got San Francisco, we got the Mississippi Delta, we got, in the San Francisco, you also go into wine country, you go into Napa, which is now under siege still by the smoke.
Well, look, the whole world is, right?
The whole world is under siege.
But here's what I want to leave your nice listeners. It's going to be, the world will be returned to us. This will end. We're not thinking about it ending. We're just thinking about how we're going to get through, for how long this is going to last. We don't know, but it will end. We know it will because it's ended every other time in history, right? So take solace in that. Plan a trip. Plan your life. Life is great when you have things to look forward to. Give yourself things to look forward to. Plan a trip for a year from now. It's going to be fun.
I planned a trip sooner than that because there's safe ways to travel. There are, if you believe, if you're not a mask denier, which I'm not, I wear the mask, I wear the shield, I have a butt plug. Just wanted to get your mind off the internet for a second. I
have another podcast I have to do in 9 minutes.
Who are you doing?
Netflix something.
Oh, well, you have to do that.
They pay the rent.
Well, this is what's great. And I want this show to go as long as you want it to go. And I want it to go
forever.
I'd love to meet you out there. Tell me the other episodes because I didn't name them all of this 5.
So Rio de Janeiro.
Rio. And that, I've been there. That is quite an experience. Unbelievable.
Spectacularly
Did you get
beautiful.
diarrhea at any point?
You're going to see the episode where something like that happens.
But
it wasn't in Rio.
Where was that?
San Francisco.
Oh, that's what you said. Listening is the key to being a good communicator.
To being a good podcast host.
Oh, my grandmother. Well, I love you, Phil.
I love you. I'm going to see you tomorrow. That's how much I love you.
I'm going to see you tomorrow.
You would think this would be enough for a week or 2 weeks.
I know. It's insane. I didn't have friends like this ever. So, well, I did because Stamos
if we would have been in camp, we would have been the friends.
We would have been because they wouldn't have picked us for their teams.
And we would have to cry on each other.
And then you would eat me.
Nobody's perfect.
Well, I wish you so much success with this new season. I know everybody's got to watch this. Somebody feed Phil.
They will. I trust them.
It's perfect. So enjoy the rest of your day. Give my love to your whole family. They'll know it's for me.
I do that special thing you do.
Yeah, do it. Do the butterfly kisses with your wife. She likes that. I wear a mask. I'll talk to you any minute.
I will.
Okay.
Love you, Bob.
I love you too, Phil. Thank you. Thank you. Phil Rosenthal. Somebody feed Phil. Go to Netflix. Watch it tonight. Watch as many of them as you can. You're going to be hungry and you're going to want to go places, but we can't yet. We're still obviously on lockdown, but we will get out and go to these places if we can. And I'm sure there's ways to do it. No matter what your financial status, there are ways to travel, which we all know is something we should be able to do in our lives, and can't wait till we all can. So thank you so much, Philip Rosenthal. And with this podcast, Bob Saget's here for you. Rate, review, subscribe, follow, and enjoy. I just want to make stuff that you like to listen to. And that's the story of how I met my audience. Thank you guys for listening. And I don't know. Thanks for buying all the stuff my sponsors said to, or listening to the podcasts you were told to. And have a good one. Be safe out there. And here's to moving onward and upward, all of us. Thanks.